Hi, I'm Bruce Pattinson from the Untitled Education Centre, and thank you for watching today's video. We really hope you enjoy these videos and that they teach you something new. If they do, please give us a like down below on the button and let us know. If you have any questions, don't forget you can contact us through the channel or through the website, and don't forget to visit our website unitedleducationcentre.com.au. There you'll find all the lecture notes for these videos. You'll find student notes, teacher notes, you'll find old exam papers and things that will help you do your best in your studies. We hope you enjoy today's video. Please enjoy it. He was an old man who fished alone in a skiff in the Gulf Stream, and he had gone 84 days now without taking a fish. And so starts that magnificent book, The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. And of course, we need to learn a little bit about the context of Hemingway and Hemingway's life before we begin our study of the novel. Today I'm going to lecture you on the context of The Old Man and the Sea and Hemingway's life in general. Well, after that stunning introduction to The Old Man and the Sea, we're going to now look at some pictures of Hemingway's life where he went in Europe and a lot of that. We're especially going to have a look at some extended footage of the Latin Quarter in France, where Hemingway hung out with such famous authors as F. Scott Fitzgerald, Picasso, the artist, and all that sort of lost generation group as we talk about. Hemingway was a controversial figure in life, and he's been a controversial figure in death. There are many, many biographies of Hemingway. Some people liked him very much, others don't. I think sometimes the literature has been, and the work that he's done has been tainted by the personal opinion people have of him. We know that he was a great writer. He won a Nobel Prize. The Old Man and the Sea is a fantastic piece of literature and one that offers much. And as we go through the lectures on The Old Man and the Sea, you'll certainly see that. But for now, sit back, listen to the words of Hemingway's context, and have a look at some of the background material that you'll see. This is where Hemingway was. These are the bars he hung out at. This is what he did with his life. It's certainly a life of action and drama, and one certainly well suited to a man who wrote about hunting, fishing in the great outdoors, war, and a man's sense of honour. He certainly was brought up as a hunter-fisher. Both his father and a grandfather were outdoorsmen. In his early life, he wasn't very good at school, but he certainly had a talent for writing, and he became a journalist. It's the early journalism that really influences Hemingway's writing, and he certainly writes in that journalistic style. Hemingway was rejected for service in World War I because he had a problem with his left eye, but he went to Italy and drove a Red Cross ambulance where he was wounded, and it was here that he found his first love, who was later rejected. After this, he moves back and forth between America. He moves a lot in his life, and he lives in America. He spends time in Cuba. He spends time in Europe. He spends time in Africa. And then we talk about that West Bank with artists such as F. Scott Fitzgerald, and he certainly went along the River Seine and lived in that Latin Quarter, and that's where they all hung out and they gave much inspiration. Europe certainly was an inspiration for many of his stories, and in Spain he became a great fan of the bullfights. He went to Pamplona for 5 years running, and in the action of running the bulls, and very exciting, and there's many memorials to Hemingway in Pamplona. He certainly lived a large life and was a very, very good drinker, and you'll see a couple of the bars, the Aruna Bar and Harry's Bar in Venice in the background here, and certainly they have dedications to him and special drinks made in his honour. He wasn't necessarily, while he was a man's man, he certainly wasn't pro-war, and he spent much of his time writing about the effect on war on his generation and the generation that was past him. In 1928, he moved back to America and began that period of deep sea fishing, which we see in The Old Man and the Sea. It was in 1932, though, specifically, he spent a couple of months in Havana marlin fishing, and it gave him the stimulus for writing The Old Man and the Sea. He was a big game hunter. He was married many, many times. He apparently had lots of lovers. His children, some detested him. One called him a gin-soaked old sod. And there was many, many facets of his life that people still don't understand. He won the Nobel Prize in 1952 and he won the prize for his mastery of the art of narrative, most recently demonstrated in The Old Man and the Sea, and for the influence that is exerted on a contemporary style. And certainly the novel is a very journalistic sort of way. It's a novel that has many symbolisms, much allegory in it, and certainly there's many levels of which to read it on. And certainly it says a man can be destroyed but not defeated, as it says in the novel. Eventually Hemingway's health declined, and he went finally the last bullfight in Pamplona in 1960, and he was in decline. Eventually Hemingway commits suicide with a shotgun in his home in 1961. He had by that time become a major legendary figure, both in real life and in American literature, and is certainly regarded as one of the great modern writers of American literature, along with William Faulkner. It was his wildness that certainly polarised opinion about him and reflects much in people's commentary on his literature. And you need to be quite careful when you read the critics, because what happens is if they knew the man and didn't like him, it affects their literary criticism. And you'll see, if you go to the teaching notes at the back of the unit of work that we've got available on the website, there's links to many of those things. So that's basically Hemingway, a very simple context before we get into Old Man and the Sea. I hope you've enjoyed this lecture from Total Education Centre. Don't forget to visit us, our website, and like our YouTube channel. Thanks very much, and goodbye.